Okay, dear students, how are you? I am fine. I hope you are also well. So, dear students, today's topics is different. In the previous class, we are going to regard today's lesson is simple, complex and compound. Simple, complex and compound. Dear students, according to the sentence, there are three types of. Number one is simple, number two complex and compound. We have to change simple into complex and compound to complex and also simple. So, dear students, at first you have to know what is simple, complex and compound. Then you have to know different types of rules. Then you are going to change simple into complex and compound. So, dear students, simple sentence. A sentence consisting of only one clause with a single subject and predicate. A sentence consisting of only one clause with a single subject and predicate. So, dear students, let's do an example. Having forgotten him, I went out. There are two clauses in a having forgotten him and I went out. So a sentence consisting of only one clause with a single subject and predicate. Single subject and predicate. So, dear students, having forgotten him, this is called subordinate clause. This is called subordinate clause, and rest of the part I went out is called principal clause. Subordinate clause and principal clause. Complex, a sentence containing a subordinate clause. Complex sentence, a sentence containing a subordinate clause. As I had forgotten him, I went out. Having forgotten him, I went out, and this sentence changes into complex sentence. As I had forgotten him, I went out. Next, compound sentence, a sentence with more than one subject or predicate. A sentence with more than one subject or predicate. So, dear students, I had forgotten him and went out. So there are three types of sentence: simple, complex, and compound. A sentence consisting of only one clause with a single subject and predicate. Having forgotten him, I went out. Number two, complex. A sentence containing a subordinate clause. As I had forgotten him, I went out. Third one is compound. A sentence with more than one subject or predicate. I had forgotten him and went out. So dear students, overlook these three sentences: simple, complex, and compound. Next, so dear students, this is the example of simple sentence. This is the example of simple sentence. Concentrate your mind, please. Having forgotten him, I went outside. Having forgotten him, this is called perfect participle. Perfect participle, having forgotten him. If the speaker use MPPP before using having, then we have to call it perfect participle. This part is also a subordinate. Subordinate clause. Having forgotten him, this also called subordinate clause. And I went out, principal clause. And I went out, principal clause. And if we want to change, dear students, having forgotten him, you have to know that subordinate clause also means dependent clause. Dependent clause cannot express its meaning clearly. Dear students, subordinate clause, dependent clause cannot express its meaning clearly. If it wants to express its meaning clearly, then it has to depend on principal clause. Without depending principal clause, subordinate clause cannot express its meaning clearly. For that reason, we have to use two clauses in a simple sentences: subordinate clause and I went out, principal clause. Principal clause. So, complex sentence. Complex sentence, dear students, simple sentence and change to complex sentence. Complex sentence use different kind of subordinate conjunction at the beginning of the subordinate clause. So, because subordinate clause express cause, for that reason we have to get complex sentence as. Then first clause there is no subject, so we have to depend on principal clause. So I Here set up having, have had, has. So depends on principal clause verb. Principal clause verb is past form. So having, had, forgotten, him, I went out. Dear student, principal clause has no sense because it has subject, verb and object. It also called a independent clause. Independent clause express its meaning clearly to the audience and the audience can understand it clearly at the same time. So as I had forgotten him, I went out. Next, compound sentence. Compound sentence. I have forgotten him and went out. I have forgotten him and went out. So dear students, simple sentence subordinating, simple sentence subordinate clause, participle phrase. So this characteristics option cannot use in the complex sentences and complex sentences as subordinating conjunction and compound sentence at the middle of the two clauses. At the middle of the two clauses we use different types of conjunction. Different types of conjunction means coordinating conjunction. Means coordinating conjunction. So that is called compound sentence. That is called compound sentence. Write down on your answer sheet, dear students,